Because of the fact that the introduction story to this game is of some importance for the conclusion of the content in this video, I have allowed myself to read up the story before we get into the actual game content. Feel free to skip it, but it will likely remove the understanding of my commentary for the game itself. Once upon a time, there was a jester called Jack, Jolly Jack, jester by appointment to King Maxim of Allegoria. Jolly Jack, master of wit and repartee, breaker of the ice of the parties with a joke here, a tumble there, a quick whack of the pig's bladder elsewhere. As long as Jack was at work, the court of King Maxim was a happy place. However, this general hilarity served only as a temporary respite from the sad truth. For, as even the king had to admit, theirs was not a happy kingdom. Local folklore has it that the continued peace, prosperity, and happiness of the kingdom was due in no small part to the presence among the crown jewels of a certain set of enchanted lanterns, the most revered of which was known as the Black Lamp of Allegoria. And it was certainly true that an evil blight had befallen the kingdom ever since the lamps had been stolen, whisked away in the dead of night, it was said, by dragons. Since then the kingdom had been plagued by strange and monstrous beings. Since then animals, birds, and insects, previously docile, were now under some evil influence, attacking the innocent populace. And so it was that Jolly Jack was working overtime to keep spirits up at court. It was not easy work for him, for behind the facade of the jester's smile there lurked a pain that ached deep within him, the pain of unrequited love. Not that the object of his affection did not love him in return, far from it. The problem was that she happened to be the boss's daughter, Her Royal Highness the Princess Griselda. Of course the king forbade such a marriage at first. The idea of his beloved maiden daughter with that fool, it was verging on the ridiculous. And it's true that Jack was a bit short on the usual qualifications. He wasn't rich, he wasn't a prince, didn't have a kingdom, he wasn't even particularly handsome. However, softened by the pleas of his daughter, King Maxim came up with a cunning compromise. He would allow the marriage if, and only if, Jack could prove his worth by seeking out the dragons and bringing back all the enchanted lamps intact. It was a good plan. He had nothing to lose if it failed, except that he'd have to find a new jester. And if it succeeded, well, he'd have to let his daughter marry this idiot, but it would be worth it. It would be worth anything to restore harmony to the kingdom. Jack, however, was not such an idiot as the king believed. Spurred on by love, he accepted the challenge eagerly, but not blindly, for he was fully aware that without help the quest would be tantamount to suicide. Luckily, he knew who to turn to. During his time off when not wooing the princess, Jack was wont to hang out in the taverns with Pratweasel, the king's sorcerer. Ever ready to help a pal, Pratweasel was able to conjure up two magic spells. The first gave Jack the power of recuperation, enabling him to cheat death a limited number of times. And the second gave Jack Spellbuckle the power to emit shattering bolts of pure magic. And so it was that, having bade a fond farewell to Griselda, Jolly Jack the jester set forth, with purposeful expression and determined gait on that fateful day. After that somewhat a funky introduction story, hello and welcome to a look at Black Lamp for the Commodore 64, a game that was released by Firebird. If you actually listen to the story, you would probably gather that the Black Lamp of Allegoria is of some importance for the general well-being of the kingdom, and it was stolen by a dragon. The story says dragons, but details. But it is not only the black lamp that is missing, it's also 8 other lamps. And you can possibly imagine that Jack the Jester's role is to go and locate said lamps, bring them back to a chest, and once all are gathered, he will have completed his mission and be allowed to start again at a higher difficulty, random place objects, stronger enemies, higher or faster speed, and all that kind of stuff. Jack will have to navigate several different screens, indoor and outdoor locations, in order to locate the different lamps and take them back to the chest. Since you can only carry one lamp at a time, in case you already carry a lamp and you bump into another lamp, you can replace the one you're currently carrying with the new lamp. Other objects, of course, are also available. Bonus points, which is important because, of course, the game has a high score list. Food and drink objects, which will restore energy. And you can find musical notes, or musical instruments, I should say, that will make Jack more bouncy, so he takes less damage from falling. And you can get a shield that will make Jack invulnerable to the next 20 hits, and weapon upgrades which will empower his spell in order to be able to kill the next 15 enemies in one shot. This of course doesn't apply to the dragons, and that would likely be too easy. Let's do the technical side of things. Graphics wise, the graphic style is very detailed, and you can easily identify the main character and the bad guys, and you get a feeling of running around in a medieval setting. While I would say that the graphics isn't bad by any means, I will also say that I am not a fan of the style. Personally, I think that Jack the Jester looks more like someone running around in pajamas, but what do I know? Sound design wise, the title tune is distinctively medieval inspired, and I'm not a fan of certain musical types being treated to a modernization. And while I will admit that the title music is of a decent quality, I'm not a fan of the style of it. The in-game music is a bit forgettable. Again, the quality is not bad, but it's not something worth listening to for listening to it by itself. Not in my opinion, at least. The controls are by and large fine, but something that was made a big fuss out of in the manual was the cleverness of the controls. When you have to walk out of doors facing the top or the bottom of the screen, you have to turn Jack in order to face the door before he can actually move through it, and you do that by using the diagonal directions of your joystick in order to get him to change facing. It may be clever, but it's also incredibly convoluted, and often you find yourself taking excessive amounts of damage trying to get out a door. It may be clever, but perhaps too clever. Which leads us to the gameplay. In essence, this is an explore the different locales and pick up objects game. You pick up the objects one at a time. Of course, I'm referring to the lamps, and then return them to a chest. If you come across multiple chests, they are all shared, so if you drop off a lamp in one chest and bump into another chest, you will find that that lamp has been dropped off in that chest as well. So, in that regard, it is somewhat compensated for long traveling. But if you don't like that style of gameplay, and I personally am not a huge fan of it, the game is dead. Because you have to go out and find a lamp, return it, find another lamp, return it, find yet another lamp, return it, find a dragon that possesses the black lamp, kill the dragon, return the lamp, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Normally, because I'm making these videos, I feel compelled to putting a lot more effort into playing the games in order to get a feeling for them and understanding for them, so I have something to present to any potential viewer. But the fact is that the enemies on the screen respawns immediately after having been killed means that it becomes pointless to try and fight them, and you don't have enough energy and pickups to just outrun them. And to me it feels like the enemy's behavior has been exaggerated deliberately in order to give you some sort of sense of content, and I'm not a huge fan of those kind of gimmicky mechanics. The manual is definitely the highlight of this game. The game itself is rather forgettable. On that note, thanks for watching, take care, see you next time, bye bye for now.